What's up, mamas? I'm Rebecca. You're watching the Reseller Mom Show. Thank you for joining me today for another episode of Reseller Momversations. Today is episode 19, and I have with me Jennifer from Jenny from the Hood on Instagram, and I'm so excited to have her here. I've got lots of questions for her, and I can't wait to hear all about her reselling story. So, hi and welcome. I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Jennifer, and I live in California. I'm a full-time school teacher, and so I'm a reseller part-time, except for in the summer and on vacations. But yeah, so I'm married for over 30 years, and we have 3 kids, 27, 20, 28, 26, and 19.
Okay.
And then, so our son just got married. It'll be a year in February.
Awesome.
And then our daughter. Yeah, our daughter teaches, yes, we're very happy for them. Our daughter teaches special ed in a city nearby, and the 19-year-old goes to college in Chico State, and she wants to be an educator also.
Wow, that's great.
And then my dad, we moved him here from Nebraska, my hometown. Yay, Nebraska. We moved him here a year ago. So he lives with us full time. He has Alzheimer's and dementia. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So he is also, yeah. And then we have dogs and cats and people always. So
all kinds of things going on.
Yeah.
And you have room to sell clothes somewhere in your house.
I think I've taken over every square inch that is not being used.
It happens. It happens. Yeah. Before I got my storage unit, I had clothes in every closet. And when my son, you know, he's 4 now, but he was a lot smaller when I started. He was only 6 months old. So his closet was like full of little girls' dresses and like all these girls' clothing. And I'm like, this is weird. But yeah, you find wherever you can stick something is good. Now I have the storage unit, so I have less things here, but it still feels like it's all here sometimes, you know, when you're working on stuff and like just, there's a lot of stuff.
Well, in rearranging, I think it's like a process, because first I started with just little piles. Then I bought a bunch of racks. Then I took the racks and converted everything into bins. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just an ongoing process of what's going to work for you.
It is. And that's one of the things that I at least try when I talk about like inventory or anything that has to do with like the stuff and the storage of stuff on my channel is like, listen, plan to be bigger than you are now, and you'll save a lot of time in upgrading your systems, because I did the same thing. First, I had all dresses, all tops. Then it went to 2 bins of dresses and 2 bins of tops. Then it went to, you know, writing on there what it was. Then it went to a number system. That, you know, there were so many iterations, and you'd save a lot of time and effort and energy if you just started off with a legit inventory system of letters and numbers, or just numbers from the get-go. You wouldn't have to keep changing and wasting money and time and moving it all around. So
exactly.
Hopefully somebody out there benefits from people saying things like that, because if I went through it, at least the least I could do now is save somebody else from having to go through those 3 different processes. Well, I did.
Go ahead. We haven't a storage unit yet, so that's, I guess, the good news. I'm trying to keep my inventory
and do. I mean, I only do it because I'm pretty sure that a divorce was imminent if I didn't. So like, it really came down to, you know, like what's going to happen at this point. I have a choice to make, and I was at a storage unit a lot farther down the road, and that was very inconvenient. Since I moved it to one that's closer, it's only a 4-minute drive. I can be there and back, get everything I need within a half an hour before Gio even wakes up in the morning. And, you know, then I can do my shipping and stuff. So it's really not that big of a deal. It does present some challenges, but it's not that big of a deal. But so I like talking to people that have, you know, older kids, because your kids aren't really kids anymore now at this point, because it's nice to see, like, you know, what does reselling look like then? Because I've only ever done it with Gio as a small little guy. And I think a lot of the people that watch my channel have a lot of toddlers and things like that, because they do it, they want to stay home. So, I mean, your kids are out of the house. They've been long out of the house. Were you ever reselling when they were in the house?
Oh, yes. Yes, I've been, so I started on TradeZ probably 6 years ago. And then about 3 or 4 years ago, I started on eBay. And then I just opened my second eBay shop. But when my kids were small, I volunteered at a thrift store. So my kids would go with me every time. So I would volunteer in the back and sort things and tag them. So I think thrifting has always been in my blood.
Yeah.
Even when I was single, I think I would go and shop, because that's when you're 20, you know, you spend money on other things and not always here. But I love to shop, so I love to just look at things and you know, see what's out there in the thrift store world. So
Gotcha.
I've been doing.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, when my kids were small, they helped me, you know, bag things, take it to the post office. And then when they got a little older, and if we were on vacation, I would call and say, hey, can you send this? Because I never wanted to close my stores. So they were, my one daughter, my youngest, would help a lot with that.
That's awesome.
Ship things for me. And my mom is also a big help. She mends things for me if they need repairs. She said no zippers, no more zippers though. She's not doing that. So I take things to a tailor, but my mom helps ship things too. So they're, you know, it's not a one-man show. No. Even though it's a one-man show. So like even this morning, helping get the whole setup here, I called in the troops to help me. So
I think, you know, at different ages for the kids to see what business looks like, you know, what you give up, what your commitment is, how hard work, you know, like there's just a lot of things that, you know, you can involve them, and that can be part of what, you know, they do. I mean, my mom was a teacher. She's retired now, but she taught for 38 years, and I used to help her mark her papers and, you know, put them in alphabetical order because the kids would sit in alphabetical order. Like I would do things to help her with that. So, you know, it is nice to involve your kids in whatever you do, because it'll teach them something. You know, they'll get some benefit out of it. One of the things I was really curious about that I saw on your Instagram, and then you just said it, was that you started on TradeZ. So tell me about that, because most people that I've talked to or that I've seen, I would think that they start on one of the bigger platforms like Poshmark or eBay, and that's kind of their foray into the reselling world. And then perhaps they meander onto TradeZ when they have some higher end items. So how did you start there?
So it's interesting. I have other teacher friends, and I finally begged them to come over and help me organize my closet, because they were really good at that. And so my girlfriend, she said, you know, Jen, you have some really nice things. I think you should get on this website. And I didn't know anything about it. I just knew I loved to shop and I love to buy things. And I had to, my husband always said, if you clear it out, you can buy more. I was like, ding, 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 ding. I'm not mad. So I would clear out my closet probably every 6 months. So my girlfriends came over and they just weeded through. You don't need this. This is not your color. You don't need this. And so then it was just the right time and the right place to say, okay, I'm going to try this. And if she would have recommended eBay to me, maybe I would have started there. But she had said, right. And then I got more into it, and I did pretty well for, you know, part-time. And a lot of my things sold. And so then I thought, okay, I see other resellers branching on and cross-posting. Right. So I opened an eBay account then and thought, okay, if it hasn't sold on TradeZ, then maybe I'll try this other site. Right. I still left it on, and then I also have help. Just recently, I hired somebody to help me cross-post.
Oh, nice. Okay. Because, and is that a local person or is that a virtual assistant?
It's actually she has a YouTube video too. Oh. So yeah, she advertised that she did some things, and so she lives in another state. But thank you to her.
Person, but you work remotely with them.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the good thing about cross posting is that you can, which is nice. That, you know, my VA is international, and it just kind of worked out that way. But when I started, she was a couple of towns over. I never met her. She did sharing for me on Poshmark, but it was a remote situation, but she was US based. So technically she was virtual, But when people think of virtual assistants, sometimes they think of overseas usually.
Right.
So yeah, you can have a US based remote person and, you know, they can still help you virtually. And I think it's, I mean, I feel like if more people knew about the legitimate opportunities that you can do virtually like that, I think that people like us that are resellers would have a lot more options to give other people opportunities too, because they could do those things, you know?
Right. Yes.
It's really cool. So that she just started for you?
Yes. It's working out really nice.
Good, good.
It's her and it helps me. So
Absolutely.
it's
Because it is, you know, there are talents that you can develop over time, and sourcing has to be your main talent. No one else can do that really for you unless you specifically go and try to hire someone to do that, and that's a model too. But your talents are the sourcing. You've got the good eye, you pick out the good stuff, you obviously have your day job, and so the repetitive task that you could train someone else to do should be done by somebody else if you can afford to do that.
right. Yes.
So because you started on TradeZ, does that mean that the things that you initially were putting on there from your closet were like nice, super high-end stuff, because that's kind of what that market is catering to?
Right. So I'm 5'4" and I consider myself a midget. So I used to wear
I'm
high
5'4".
So I don't know. It's in my mind. It's
Well,
not
compared to the runway models, I guess we are.
well, trying to be, yes. So, and I also teach. So I taught upper grade before, and this was, 20 years ago. So I was a little bit younger, but people would walk in the classroom and say, "Where's the teacher?" Because all the kids would be the same height. So I wore high heels to school all the time, and and shoes was my thing.
Okay.
I loved shoes and dresses. Some people love purses, some people love what. And so I had some really nice, and so for the holidays, my husband would also buy me some nice shoes as, a gift, whatever. So I had a nice accumulation of them in my closet, but then I had actually fallen at work and over a student. And so the heels, the doctor said, no more heels. You cannot wear heels. So I wear flats now. So I sold all my heels. That's how it started.
Got
I
it.
sold all my, I felt like they were my friends. We experienced a lot of things together, but I had to think about it. And then I have a girlfriend, my master teacher. She, for every holiday, would buy me really nice purses with like matching wallets, and I would use it once, and then another holiday would come around, and she would buy me another purse.
Wow.
And so I had a large collection of purses also.
Yeah,
and
to die for it. So I know that people are watching right now, and we want to know brands. So I don't mean to put you on the spot, but we want to hear some brands. Is that something you're willing to share?
I sold. I've sold Gucci and Prada, and I love Tom Ford. He's my favorite.
Nice.
But the only thing that fits me on his line is the makeup and the perfume, though. His clothes are for really tall, lanky women, and unfortunately, I've really tried to squeeze into some of those clothes, but it just doesn't work. So, I'm not giving up. But and I do have a pair of his shoes. So, but even that is a little higher than I can wear nowadays.
Yeah, and I've put a couple of things on TradeZ, but I would say even those things are on the lower end of the stuff. Like I bought a purse on TradeZ, and that's where I started my account. There was when Bag Borrow Steal was a thing. I don't know if you've heard of that website, but I rented a Fendi bag when I had a job where I felt like I needed to look a certain way. And so I had this beautiful Fendi tote bag, and it's black and white and aqua on the inside, and it's gorgeous. And then when I no longer had that job, I had to give them, I kept wanting to buy it because you always had the option that instead of renting it, you could buy it. So I was waiting for the price to go down to buy it, but it never happened quite right. So I gave the purse back, and I said, you know what, at some point I'm going to get that purse back. And I found it on TradeZ, and I was so thrilled because I looked on Poshmark, I looked on eBay, I didn't see it anywhere, but I found it on TradeZ. And that was like a birthday present to myself that I bought. I spent a couple $100s on that, $1,500 bag or whatever it was.
Nice.
So now that's one of my prizes. That's like when I go somewhere without Geo, that's when I wear that bag. But
I have a student this year whose name is Giovanni.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I love your son. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my husband is Liberato, and so we wanted like a nice Italian name for our little guy, and we looked at a few, and that just seemed to work well. And then after we picked it, then we realized that there are actually Giovanni's on both, you know, heritage lines in the family on both sides, which is kind of cool. So plus it's like he could decide later if he wanted to. It means John, and so if he decided not to be ethnic, he could just go by John. You know, that's his choice. But we wanted him to have like the legit name. So that's, you know, that's his actual name. And then we'll see what he decides to do later. But I think it's cool. Maybe before it's not so cool to have an, you know, an ethnic name, but now it could be kind of cool. We'll see. We'll see what the little bugger turns out to be. But so TradeZ, super cool. I think, you know, it's one of those things where people don't talk a lot about it. You know, people do talk about the real. Do you ever do anything with that as far as you put on TradeZ?
I did try to send in a bunch of my, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Just a second.
Lost the light.
My classroom is on
a motion timer.
Yeah, a motion timer, and I must not have been moving enough. I talked with my
no,
mom
just
so much.
sit there.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I did try to send in a big box to oh, now my mind is blank because that
real.
The other one that people get Lux boxes from. ThredUp. I sent a big box of 16 things to ThredUp that were in my TradeZ account, new with tags, and the box was lost.
No way.
Yeah. So I reached out actually to another YouTuber, and I said, you know, what do I do? This was the first time, and she gave me some really great advice. And so that's in the past, and I have not worked with them since.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was devastating because at first I considered my shoes and my clothes my friends.
Right.
You know, and I had an attachment to them, and I was like, okay, I'm finally going to send you away. And then they lose the box. And I was like, oh, how could you do that?
So it was delivered, tracked as delivered, and they lost it.
Yes.
Sounds fishy.
Yes. Yes.
Interesting.
So I don't do that anymore.
And
I know a lot of.
Had you paid for the return? Like if they didn't want it, there's that thing that you can pay for where they would return it to you. And you did for that? Interesting. Well, hopefully they gave you that money back.
Well,
and you know,
it was a sad situation. I'm not, and I know a lot of people have really good luck with them, and everything is very. I think when company, like I started in TradeZ when they were kind of new and upcoming. They probably were around for a couple of years, but I've been growing with them kind of thing. And TradeZ, I sent it in a couple of years ago when I first was starting. And I had seen some videos where other people had sent in their things. And so they also have been growing also. And I think sometimes things get lost in the mail when growth happens.
Right.
And you know what, like for instance, even I'm very guilty of that when somebody goes to buy something and I'm in the middle of changing over my inventory.
Oh, absolutely.
I can't. I'm like,
I got that myself. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I have this. And then I'll email them, you know, a week later and say, oh my gosh, it was, I'm so sorry. Are you still interested?
Right. Yeah, I've done that for sure. And I just recently had to cancel an order because I had just conducted my inventory audit for the end of the year, and you know, it's like things get pulled out and moved and whatever. So yeah, no, I totally understand it. And one more question on the TradeZ thing, and then you know, we can kind of move on and talk about something else. Just because I feel like I don't know a lot about it, I'd love to know more about it, and I don't see a lot of content out about it. So like to have somebody on that, like that's what they do and that's where they started is really cool. Do you list on there daily? Is it more of a just when you have something that is applicable for TradeZ, or do you only deal with things that are applicable for? I'm just really curious as far as like the workflow and process of what you would do with TradeZ versus an eBay where you have to keep feeding the beast and be consistent and list all the time and that kind of thing. Like, does TradeZ still work that way for you?
I think that if you keep your inventory updated, there is a link on there that you can click on, and it will make sure every 46 days that your inventory is still alive and that you don't need to delete it, or so things, you know, kind of get to the bottom of the list, and you have to just kind of pump them back up. But when I was on there daily, I probably had a sale a day.
Okay.
So in a month I probably sold 30 things.
Okay.
You know, one day nothing, but the next day I'd sell 2 things. I don't feed that one anymore. I just let it sit, and there is no, I still have sales on there. No, it's not once a day, but I do have sales on there, and I do still go in and clean up inventory and revise things or delete items, just to kind of keep my algorithm active.
Right.
So I don't take it down. They don't charge you to post anything. So you can kind of post it and leave it. And the money comes when you've sold it.
Right.
And they do, the one other thing that they do is they charge when you transfer your money from TradeZ to your bank account.
Oh, they do charge?
Yeah, it's like 3%.
Really?
So that is, yeah.
On top of the fee that they take out when you sell something?
Yes.
That's terrible.
I know. I think it's the only company that I know of that does that still. Yeah.
Because they want you to spend it on there buying something else. They don't want to give you the money. They just want to keep circulating it and keep collecting fees. Little stinkers. Okay. Like, you know, I mean, you know, when Mercari added the, they added like an instant pay. So when you want to transfer your balance out on Mercari, it takes like 5 days, which is ridiculous. But then they added an instant pay where they'll charge you a fee if you want it faster. And I'm like, okay, like I get that. That makes sense. Fine. I'll wait the 5 days. I'm not going to give you any more money. But to just charge you flat out, say we're not going to give you your money. That's like the mafia.
Well, the other thing, originally TradeZ took returns, but they would never send it back to you. They would resell it themselves. And now, if the item is, see, this is another process that they're growing with. So now the item is less than $100 value, they send it back to you to resell.
Okay.
So they only keep the items that are $100 or more to resell. So it was nice for me because I would, even if somebody returned it, I didn't get it back.
Right.
They would take care of the resell.
So at that point, you would still get to keep your money. They returned it, but now it's their property to sell. That's kind of nice. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, because I'm not a fan of returns.
No.
It's not my favorite thing.
I don't mind it because I don't get that many. And now I'm kind of downgrading eBay. I have downgraded it. So on there, I'm selling a handful of things here and there, but I haven't listed on there since December 1st. I want to try to just really focus on Poshmark and Mercari because they're just so easy. Like, it's just so easy. And you don't have to deal with, you know, a lot of that stuff. But I felt like when I was on eBay and there were returns, it would be like 4 or 5 all at once. And then I wouldn't get any for a while. And then I'd get a bunch. And I never really knew why it felt like that. I think it just worked out that way. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, they're not the greatest. As long as you have a plan for what you will do with it once you get the item back, because I feel like a lot of people, I was guilty of this, like you just shove it somewhere and you don't relist it, when it really is pretty easy to relist it. And I don't know why we put it, so many people have said, like there was a guy that was doing reselling content, but he's not anymore. Luke of his channel was Endless Entrepreneurs. I really liked it. And he would always say like, I have all these returns. I have no system. And I said, me too. Like I have them in my guest room drawer. Like, I don't know. So if you can process them and put them back on quickly, then, you know, you don't lose out on anything. So when you're a lazy reseller and you let them sit, that's bad.
Yeah, it's just the whole idea of, you know, because I used to work retail when I was younger also, and people would, you know, buy items to go to a party or something and then bring them back.
Yeah.
And it was like, you don't really love this item, do you?
Right.
You just wanted it go to the party.
It's not a rental service. It's a,
Right.
purchase service. I don't want it back. I want to send it to you and say goodbye and be done with it. And then,
Yes.
too, like if you send it to them, if you pack it, like I use resealable zipper bags. Well, when they send it back, they don't send it back in that bag. So if it had gotten wet on the way back,
Right.
now that's a problem. When I sent it to you, I took care for it not to get wet and for it to be protected. Plus I lost that bag, but now here I am with the item back again. I mean, it's cents, but it still adds up. So yeah, there's a lot of that. So how are you liking eBay? How long has that been that you've been on it, and how's it going?
I think June. So I think I've been on 3 years, and then I just opened my second store on eBay.
And what's the second store all about?
Well, I just ran out of, I didn't want to up my store.
Oh, perfect.
So it's more feasible to open a second store than to up your store. So it was just because I have over 4,000 items.
Oh.
And then I have 1,000 something on TradeZ.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, so were you 4,000 items? Is that where like an anchor store maxes out?
Yeah, I didn't want to go to a. I think anchor is the highest, right?
Right. Oh, so you didn't want to go from premium to anchor because it's such a big jump. So you're doing 2 premiums.
Yeah.
I got it. Yeah, and
yeah.
I thought about that too because I was always sitting at around like I think the most I had on there was like 2,500 at one point or 2,200 or something like that. And I knew I wasn't ready for anchor yet, but I kind of wondered if it was better to be an anchor store for just maybe like algorithm purposes or customer service, because you get some of the extra with that. But I never did it, and I did contemplate doing a second store, but I just thought, gosh, I don't know if I can manage to. But yeah, how is it managing to?
So far so good. I've already sold. It's brand new, and I've already sold 7 items. So I feel like
to do. You're not starting it completely blind. You know exactly what to do at this point. So
yeah,
there is good. Do you manage it on your phone at all?
Oh yes, I rely on my phone a lot. My phone is my friend.
How do you have the 2 stores on there, or do you not? You have to log in and out.
I log in and out.
Okay,
yeah.
I just wasn't sure.
Anyone knows of a better way to do that? Because I can have the trade app on there and the eBay, but I can't do both eBays on my phone at the same time.
I wonder, I don't know because I haven't tested this because then I never did open the second store, but what I thought I was going to do is I always had the eBay app and I would use that for certain things and you'd get your notifications. But there were certain aspects of the desktop site that I liked that I would go on to the web browser on my phone, log into eBay that way, and use it as if I were on the computer. So it's a web page rather than the app. And I would save a bookmark to that. So on my phone, I had like a bookmark to the sales page. I had a bookmark to my drafts page. And it would take me directly there so that I didn't have to deal with it in the app. Because there was a time, I don't know if it's still this way, but you couldn't see all your drafts. You couldn't do certain things in the app that you could on the web page. So I would create these little bookmarks for myself. So perhaps, I don't know, it would work. You could be logged in the app in one account and then do the web page in the other account.
Right. I'm going to have to check that out.
Try that.
Because it is.
It might.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it might. Because there are 2 separate things. I
can do that on my computer.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean on the phone to be mobile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I use 2 different internet sites.
Right.
So I can do that. I don't know how to do. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out on my phone.
Yeah. See, I mean, like I said, I don't know because I've only ever had to do the one, but it was nice that it would keep me logged in on those web pages, and I could go directly to that particular thing to see what I wanted to see. And I always found that was very helpful. I do that with a lot of websites like that because you can just put as many bookmarks as you want, and it just takes you right there. You don't have to type it all in. The other thing I wanted to ask you, if I could, is I saw on your Instagram the Goodwill Blue Box. You've done at least 1 or 2 of those. How has that been? I have not done one yet.
So I've done quite a few, and then I also have purchased auction items.
Okay.
On the Blue Box website.
Uh-huh.
So every once in a while they'll put up vintage things. But it's helped because I have my dad that we're full-time caregivers for.
Right.
And so, you know, one of my favorite things to do is the sourcing, but sometimes it's hard to get out there. I have purchased boxes from Indo Trading Company. And that was nice, but I wasn't able to hand pick them. So I did that a couple times, and it's probably going to be more in the future. But for now, I've bought quite a few boxes, and it's worked out nicely. I have a tendency to like maybe gently used items, even though the majority of my closets are new with tags. I like the personality that the vintage or the gently used clothes have. Right. So it's kind of a nice little surprise when you open the box, as opposed to getting 100 dresses that maybe I wouldn't have chosen. Right. So I think the price is really good. It's very difficult. They put up new boxes every Friday. Yeah. So I went on. They sell out. Oh yeah. Well, I went on and I clicked on the extra large and 3Xs and 4Xs are the ones that sell out the quickest. Got it. So I'm in my my cash out page and clicking on the inventory that I want, and all of a sudden it's just being deleted because somebody else just bought it. Yeah. So by the time I cash all the way out, I'm ending up with one thing. So I think as it goes on, it's either going to be more popular and it's going to be harder to get the boxes, or they're going to grow. Right. They're going to for business. But I haven't had anything that I've been disappointed with. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I was just always very curious because, I mean, it's coming from a bins, right? It's not coming from a retail. And so I have hard enough time trying to find good stuff when I'm picking it, let alone going in blind on a bins box seems extremely risky to me. And I've seen a few videos on them where it's like, because I did ThredUp rescue boxes for a while, and in the beginning they were very good, and then they kind of went a little bit, and I thought it was the greatest thing as a stay-at-home mom to not have to worry about dragging Geo here, there, and everywhere. I could get the box to show up at my house. It's like Christmas, what's in there? I mean, I got some really great things, but then it just started to get like, right. So I'm interested. I think they're based in Florida. No way. I get the boxes from Florida, yes. No way, huh? I'll have to look. Interesting. So maybe maybe they get the inventory from the same bins that you shop at. I hope I'm not sure. Because I've asked my bins if they would sell, because I thought I had heard that people had purchased like gaylords of clothes or bales of clothes from their bins. Our particular bins does not do that. Apparently a Salvation Army does here, in my Orlando area. So I'm going to check that out. I think it would make a great video. I think it would just be really cool, like, to do it once. I just have to see, like, is it an auction or is it an outright buy? How much is it? Like, I have a Santa Fe. It lugs a lot of clothes a lot of times, but I don't know if it can, I don't know what it can do. So I'd have to see, like, if I need to get a U-Haul or it'll be an adventure. I think the auctions are mostly pallets. Yeah. You can go in and take a look before you auction, because they have those here in California. And I hear them bidding on things when I'm at the bins on the other side. And it's like they're selling cattle. Oh, yeah. But, yeah, it's pretty funny. And people drive, and they actually take everything out of the bins and pack it in their car. Yeah. So they leave the pallets there, and they leave the boxes there. Yeah, I mean, I could probably put a pallet, I could probably fit a pallet's worth of clothing in my car, as long as Gio's not in there, because I definitely have to, like, shove it in every crevice. Because when I go, I do the airport lost luggage auctions, and so that has been really fun. And sometimes I win a lot, and sometimes I don't. You never know what you're going to win until it's over. And so you would bid, like, I would bid on like 7 different lots, end up with 4, and now I'm like, oh God, I hope I can cram it all in there. Right. Most of the time I have. So far, so good. And just to go back on TradeZ, my top go-to inventory that I carry is like Johnny Was and Free People.
Oh, okay.
So I will have designer things, but my largest inventory is those two designers. Yeah. And then on the blue boxes, I do receive items with tags on it.
Interesting.
So I've ordered boxes for my niece. She has twin boys, and so I've got the child boxes for her. And a lot of times they're shoes with tags on them and clothing. Nice. And then I ordered a box for my dad, and it had a lot of new with tags on it. So he was very happy to get a new wardrobe. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely would like to give it a try. And one of the things that I put out on the channel when I was doing the thread up boxes, because again, you know, I'm always talking to moms, and a lot of us do have the small kids or even school aged kids. And so the summertime is really hard because either we're doing our vacations, the kids are out of school. And so sourcing then becomes very more difficult than it is throughout the year, because now you lose out on that school time without them. And so I say, like, listen, you need to adjust your business for your life. And so maybe you go sourcing in thrift stores and at the bins during the school year, but when you can't in the summer, now's the time that you order thread up boxes, Goodwill box, whatever you can get to come to you. That's the time to do it. Maybe you don't do it all year, but that's fine. You also might have slower sales over the summer. So you need to like adjust your mindset of, I may not make the same over the summer as I will through then. Maybe I have to pay a little bit more because I have to get inventory shipped to me. But then once the kids go back to school in the fall, then my cost of goods will go down because I can go back to the bins. So keeping that in mind, that you can ebb and flow with it. It doesn't have to be so rigid. I think a lot of us, you know, it's good to have those rules for yourself so you have something to stick to when you're your own boss. You need to have something. But I think we take it too far. We forget that we can make our own flexibility with our business because it's our business.
Right.
I say that as much for myself as I do to help other people.
And when my husband and I travel, I do go to the bins in the states that we travel to. So that's really fun to see how different places are set up. I mean, you think all of them are the same, and I just tried Long Beach bin, and it was not what I expected at all, because we've gone to Los Angeles bins and Santa Ana bins, and we thought, you know, Long Beach is right here. It should be the same, and it was mostly auctions of the crate. There was not a lot of the blue bins at all. There's like 6 of them.
Interesting.
So
what's the best one that you've kind of been to out and about?
Probably Los Angeles and Colorado.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And what's the worst one?
Long Beach.
Okay. and have you been other states, like you said, Colorado? Is it mostly in California and Colorado? Have you been to all over the place?
I've been to Las Vegas. I've been to Florida. And I usually take an Uber there. It's kind of funny because I talk to the Uber drivers and I'm like, this is probably odd that, you know, somebody wants you to take them here. And he goes, oh no, you should hear about the places I've been to.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I have, you know, the big bag when I get back in the car to go, and then I usually buy a suitcase.
Right.
And I take everything home, or I take it with me on the plane.
Right.
So I bring a little bit with me on the trip for my personal self, but then I bring back and pay the $25 for an extra luggage or something.
Right. But you don't check an empty bag on the way or check your bag. You buy one there and then do it to save that fee. That's interesting because when I go up to New Jersey with my mom, I thrift a lot over the summer. And this year I kind of did it stupid and I'm going to do it better this year. So I was thinking of bringing the bag, you know, packing everything into the one, but then pulling out the second one to check it on the way back. But so what you're saying is you just get it there so you save on that fee. So that's interesting.
Well, and I bought a suitcase at the thrift store.
Right.
In Colorado, and then I sold it when I got home.
Damn.
So,
that's the way to do it. That's the true way. That is so fun. I mean, that's how I feel about like things for Geo, because I will buy them thrifted, wash them, and then, for him to wear. And then I can still sell them after he wears it because we take good care. I mean, he's a boy and he's getting older, so I would imagine there's going to be a lot more mud and grass stains in our future to where I probably can't do that much anymore. But, it's been great because I feel like we are kind of like, renting it in a way. It's like I bought it cheap, we got the use out of it, and now I'm flipping it and possibly even making even more of a profit. And his things, I don't put into the business. So like his things are separate, and any money that I make,
Right.
his stuff, I put in his college fund. So
Oh,
that's
nice.
why I like, and it's so funny. Like I put a post of that on Facebook the other day, and people were like, "Oh, that's such a good idea," and this and this. I'm like, come on now, people. Like, do we not have college funds anymore? Like, is that not, is that not a thing? Are you not putting money in their college? Like, because I don't actively put a lot of savings. When he gets money from people, we put it in. And then when I sell something that was his, the profit, that's what I put. We're not actively like have a savings plan right now for him because I think it's more important for our retirement
Right.
to do that than I do for the college. Because who knows what college is going to look like at some point then in the future.
Yeah.
You have no idea. But yeah, I think it's funny. Like to me, it seems like such a normal thing to be doing that and putting that money for that purpose. And I got all these comments and questions, and I was like, okay, what are you doing now? Like, not saving. I don't know. Maybe it's not a thing anymore. I don't know.
And you think everybody thinks along the lines that you do, and then little did you know. So it's good that you throw things out. I mean, I appreciate your show. I watch it, and I think you put out a lot of information that is very helpful to so many people.
Thank you.
So
I think I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It is. That's probably one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is that we don't all think the same. And that was one of the things holding me back from making the channel, because I'm like, just because I do it this crazy way doesn't mean that somebody else is going to want to do it my crazy way, because would they be doing it already? So what do they need to hear my mouth for? And then I realized that, I just happen to have a structured, organized efficiency improvement thing. Like that's my thing. But other people are more creative, I think. And I like being creative too, but I think they're more fluid and they need somebody to tell them those kinds of ways. It doesn't come naturally. It doesn't naturally occur to them how to improve a system or make an organizational structure or whatever it is. So that's one of the encouraging things about when people leave comments on Instagram or on YouTube is, that it did indeed help them. They wouldn't have thought of it. And that's okay. That's not better for me, worse for them, or worse for them, or better for me. It's, we all think differently and we all can learn from each other, and more people should have reselling channels if you feel like you have something unique to offer, I mean, I do the hauls, but I try not to do as many hauls because it's like everybody's doing hauls and they find better stuff than me. I think my strength is the cockamamie kerfuffles that I come up with as far as like, let me show you I can shave 3 seconds off of my shipping. You need to see how to do this. Any time saving measure, I'm willing to try it.
And even sourcing, I've taken my teenage daughter and asked her to, pick out things that she thinks would sell. And I went through them and I was like, it wouldn't be something that I would sell, but I bought them anyway. Mm-hmm. And they sold. Those were the first things that sold, because there's other people out there that don't think like me. Right. And they're willing to sell. That works out.
I stopped a long time ago picking out things that I like. I mean, sometimes I do because I like it. I want to sell it. But I really am now going of like, what does the market want? What are the parties on Poshmark about? What are people posting on Instagram when they post their label porn stuff that we want to look at and see all the good tags and everything? I'm making it less about my particular thoughts because let's face it, and I've said, I don't think I have a lot of stuff. My style is very plain and minimal. Like I could, when I used to work, obviously I did not dress how I dress now. I wore professional clothes, but it was always solids. It wasn't a lot of prints. It was, blue and black and gray and sometimes red. I'm pretty basic. I like classic, clean things. And that is not all involved with this boho thing that is happening you know, all of these people that want, you know, flowing all this stuff. Like, it's just, I have to force myself to pick up those things because that's not for me. But one point that you brought up is interesting about people that are resellers that have older kids is you could totally tap into them for, you know, what is cool, what is trendy, what's stylish, what are the brands, what is everybody talking about? Do you do that often? Like, is that a method, or it just happens that way sometimes? Like, are you purposely asking her thoughts?
I wanted to hear her perspective of what she would think would sell in my store, because they know about my business because it's all over my house. And, you know, I want their input. I want them to tell me what they think would do well. And then sometimes my daughter worked for a clothing store for a while, and it was actually like the warehouse. And so when at the end of the season, they get rid of stuff. And so she gave me a bunch of inventory.
Nice.
And I would have never picked it up, but it all sold because it's the trendy. And then
it was pretty current too.
Right. And they had tags on them. So it was nice that they were in really great shape.
Yeah.
And then I have friends that own a store and they're winding down. They own a brick and mortar store. And so it's a lot of beach wear. It's a lot of casual cotton and linen. And so I said, you know, I would love to help you downsize because I know that's your goal. So that's where I get a lot of my Johnny Was and flax. And it's all, you know, newest tags. So I buy a bulk of inventory every once in a while from them. So it makes it easy for me to list and to get things. And it might just be one of a kind thing because they don't have 6 of that size or they don't have 4 of that size. So it's just one item of that, which is fine with me because I would rather do it that way. So, and it works for me.
Yeah.
And it might not, I originally went with it.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it might have been inventory that maybe I wasn't looking for originally, like we were saying with my daughter.
Right.
So I'm open to a lot of different changes and styles and what people are interested in. So
whenever we do go on vacation and I see all these cute little boutiques and sometimes they have name brand stuff, high-end name brand, like, you know, flax or whatever. And then sometimes they have just like the cute boutique-y ones. And part of me is like, God, like I take pictures of all of the tags because I'm like, I want to source all of this. Obviously, I'm not going to buy it from them because they're selling it at retail. They bought it at wholesale. Obviously, you have the hookup there, so that's a different thing. I wonder sometimes, because I don't have the brick and mortar, how to try to set up those kinds of wholesale accounts. Like, it's not something that I've really gotten into yet because I don't feel like I have the bankroll to buy in bulk at wholesale prices. But that's something that is so attractive to me because I do like multiple quantity listings and things like that. I would love to have more of a automated store in that way. Like, I do like thrifting, but I think there are people that like thrifting a lot more than I do. So, you know, like I would love to do more of a multiple quantity wholesale boutique model in the future. But I've said on the channel, like I've tried it, but I did it the wrong way. I did it too soon. I didn't save up the money first. So I uncash flowed my business for several months, you know, because I sunk it all into this inventory that takes time to sell, and I made some mistakes with it. So hopefully in the future I'll learn from those and can do it better next time. But yeah, that's a great hookup and shows to people there is no shortage of ways to source. Like, look around you and try to think as creatively as you can and offer win-wins. Like, that's a helpful thing for them and for you that you're helping them get rid of that inventory, you know, and what local things around you as a reselling mom could you tap into to help yourself get more inventory more easily, you know?
Right. And I have friends actually that are giving me a lot of inventory. They're clearing out their closets and they know that I do this.
Yeah.
And so they're saying, "Are you interested?" I'm like, "Yes."
Yes.
And I actually had a buyer recently reach out to me and he said, "I'd like to buy these items from you and I see that you live locally. Can I come pick them up?" And I said, "Sure." So I left him on my porch and he took them and he said he was just wondering where I get my inventory from. And I said, oh, you know, lots of different sources. He said, well, I just lost 100 pounds. And I'm wondering if you'd be interested in selling these 3 men's things from me. I'm like, sure, I'll try it. I'll try anything. And they actually are doing very well. He kept, like how you treat your son's clothes. He took such good care of his clothing, and he had good things. And so I think the size out there is hard to find, and so they're selling. So I'm happy, and he's happy. Yeah. So that works. Their source.
That's perfect. And I think too, the more you put it out there, you know, I had shared on Instagram. I didn't really do a video because it didn't really work out to lend itself to a video, but I had just on a whim asked my dry cleaner what they do with abandoned clothing. And she was like, nothing. Do you want it? I have, like, she was like, I don't know what to do with it. It's stressing me out. I have all of these things of like, I don't know what to. I was like, I will take it. I did 2 trips back and forth, loaded up the trunk with it. And, you know, it wasn't as great as I thought it was going to be. I definitely got some good pieces out of it, but for the bulk of it, I was like, you know, people are spending a lot of money on dry cleaning for apartment 9. Like, they should not be doing that. Like, just, you know, I didn't want to sell that. So it's like, there's nothing wrong with it. I buy that, but it was not as high end as I thought. I thought we live in a nice area. People are spending money getting it dry cleaned. It's their work clothes. It's got to be good stuff. And it wasn't as good as I thought. But it was still free inventory. She didn't want to take any money for it. So, and you know, I'm sure she'll give it to me again in the future when she has more. So it's a nice little, you know, you never know. Well, I will be mindful of your time because I'm not sure what time you need to get rocking and rolling with school there.
My kids are away, my students, yes.
Okay, so let's go ahead, and if you have any other thoughts you want to share with the reselling moms that watch, you know, go ahead and then also tell them where they can find you.
Well, just, you know, my theme in life is just ask for help. That don't be afraid to ask for help. I can't do anything by myself. I have a lot of great ideas, but I need all the help I can get. And I always say, if there's somebody in the hall that's just wandering around, pull them in here too, and they can help me. Right. Because, you know, they might have another idea that would put a twist on what I'm trying to accomplish. Mm-hmm. So in my classroom at work, I have help, and at home I have help. And, you know, I ask my kids for help. So it's okay to not try to do everything yourself. Yes. And, you know, and a lot of times my help doesn't cost money. Mm-hmm. It's just, if I ask a friend to do something, then, because in turn, I would love to do something for them, mm-hmm. but maybe at the time I just need somebody to drop off my postage or something. So right. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I remember when my kids were young, and I felt like, I'm in this, you know, by myself, and I still have to make dinner. Right. Hate making dinner. Yeah, I'm not good at it. So takeout is good. Yeah, I can do that. But yeah, ask for help. So that's that's great. Yeah, and then I'm Jenny from the Hood, because Jenny from the Block was our. Right. You have dots in there on your. I'll link it, but it's Jenny. Okay. Yeah, on Instagram there's dots in between, and on my my eBay stores are Jenny from the Hood with no dots. And the other one is It's Me JRV63. Okay. And then my TradeZ is Jenny from the Hood. Perfect. No dots. No dots. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you again so much for being on the show. I appreciate it. I think that we had a lot of really good and interesting information. So hopefully everybody has stayed tuned till the end. For those that have, thank you so much for watching. Please go ahead and leave a comment below. I read and answer all of them. I'd love it if you could give me a thumbs up on your way out. If you haven't subscribed, hello. Subscribe. Let's go. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.